Today on the show, as the series gears up to start shooting season 2, we decided to do a fan cast of unnamed characters. Unlike real life, we have no salary or availability restrictions as we sit down in the showrunner's chair and choose the actors for Phillipa Eilhart, Sigismund Dijkstra, Leo Bonhart, and Emeil Regis Rohellec Terzieff-Godefroy.
Jesus, you nailed that.
Yeah, I meant to roll the R's on there too. Okay. All right, so there is not a lot going on. They're about to start back up. Hopefully, where they're filming at, they can keep going. There won't be like a second wave of the COVID or anything. In that downtime, we're going to pick some actors, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, this should be a super fun episode. Like we've done like deep dive stuff about season 1, obviously, and we've talked plenty about the books and the Witcher universe, but at this point, like, we're just playing the waiting game until season 2, and who knows when that's going to be, considering production is just now starting back up again after pausing for COVID. And I don't think we'll get season 2 in early 2021 like I was hoping. It's going to be a while. So you're totally right. In the meantime, let's have some fun. And what we did today, Brett, you and I each picked 2 actors that we would love to play these characters. Phillipa, Dijkstra, Bonhart, and Regis. And I personally, I don't know how you picked the actors, but I personally went with like sort of my one A-list like actor that I would love for the role, and one that I think would actually be either unique or funny for the role. Is that how you picked?
And before we start, we should say we don't know each other's picks.
Oh,
we have not looked
yeah.
at them.
No,
so
I didn't click on these links you have here in our script. I don't know what you picked, so we're going to get some genuine reactions from each other.
Yeah, this is going to be good. So what I did with some of them, I generally picked who I think would be good for the role or who I would like to see. Or it could have been one where, this person would have been perfect like 20 or 30 years ago. They're either too old or...
Got it.
There's one of them. There's one of them in here that is so far off the wall that I'm sure once I say it, people are going to be like, what in the hell? But again, Like I said, I have my reasoning, and that's why we're doing 2 picks for each one.
Yeah, and tweet at us. Let us know what you think of our picks.
Tweet it a boo.
Don't tweet a Brett.
No, please do.
Okay, let's start with Phillipa, who we have actually briefly discussed before. You're quite anxious that we haven't gotten an announcement about who Phillipa is going to be, because we know she's going to play a big role in season 2 and in upcoming seasons, but we still don't have an announcement.
It's one of the questions that I actually would ask, because she was at the Battle of Sodden Hill, canonically in the books, and she was not in the first season. And because we know how big of an important role she is, it's really weird to me why she wasn't in the first season. But again, I'm sure they have the reasons.
Right. So until we find out who the actual actor for Phillipa is going to be, let's go through our picks. Brett, number 1 pick.
All right, number 1 pick. Go ahead and click on that link if you want to see it. Number 1 I have on there is Natalie Portman.
Okay,
so...
Yeah, explain that to me. I can see it.
Yeah, and so a big thing about Phillipa, to me, again, I don't really care too much about looks unless it is something important to their characterization, which I'm not sure there ever is. But there was one big thing about Phillipa, is her like dark eyes and just these bottomless lakes of eyes that are just dead. And so you can really obviously put context on with anybody, but I think Natalie Portman could really pull off Philippa's duplicitous, ambitious, and just really headstrong nature.
Yeah. No, I totally see it. I mean, Natalie Portman to me is still Padme Amidala, because that was my first introduction to her as a kid when I first watched Star Wars. She was one of my early like TV and movie crushes as a kid, you know?
Oh, like, I bet a lot.
I loved Padme, and I was just like, oh, wow, I think I'm in love with Padme Amidala. And, like, who is this person? And that's who Natalie Portman still is in my mind, like, over 10 years later. But I can see it. I think she could pull off, because you're right, Phillipa is duplicitous. That's like the best word to describe her. I think Natalie Portman could pull that up. I actually like this pick. I don't know what her budget is these days to hire her.
Yeah, and again, we have no budgetary
Right. These are dream
No budgetary
picks.
restrictions. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, and another thing to preface, much should I preface before that one? All of my picks are American, I think, except one Canadian, because I'm one of those, and this isn't, you know me, I'm not nationalistic at all. I generally don't care about nationality, but God damn it, am I tired of every medieval fantasy, everything being just goddamn British people. No offense to you British people, I love you. I love you, but not everything needs to be British. Okay, let Americans have some roles. Damn it.
Yeah. Medieval fantasy is just assumed to have always taken place in the UK, no matter what.
Yeah, because I was watching. It just kind of goes into my other one. The next one for Phillipa is going to be someone in the Marvel universe. But I was watching Black Panther again, and Martin Freeman is in there just playing like an American CIA role, and I'm like, come on now, Martin Freeman gets every role. He's in everything. Can't you give that to an American?
You were in the Lord of the Rings, man. Just be happy and retire.
He's everything, that dude.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one, I should say with Phillipa, these two kind of were both the same. There wasn't really one off the wall in that sense.
Yeah.
So with the next one I have, and it's someone I'm only familiar with through the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Kobe
I just clicked on it. Yeah, Kobe Smulders. You know what's funny? I think I also had Kobe Smulders originally before I changed it.
Oh, okay.
So I totally agree with you on this. I also am most familiar with her from the Marvel universe, but obviously she's very famous in How I Met Your Mother and a number of other TV shows and movies as well. What was your reasoning behind her?
The reasoning behind here was, again, it was that darker look, and I haven't watched that many of the Marvel movies. I know, come at me there. But I did just watch the two Spider-Man ones, Homecoming and Far From Home.
Yes.
And she had a small role in there, and I just was like, okay, again, because it was like a military role. She's in there. Maria Hill. Okay.
Maria Hill.
I just know she's with Nick Fury as Sam Jackson. And it's just one of those where, okay, I think she has that look, again, just to be very commanding, which I think, when I think of Phillipa Eilhart, I think of someone who is just kind of cut off, almost nihilistic, ends justify the means kind of person. And again, I just think it's something that she could definitely pull off.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a presence on screen. And even in the Marvel universe, when she's around these massive actors, she can pull a scene, And I totally agree. It's interesting. I also had Kobe Smulders in one of my original picks, but
I guess you're right. That's the biggest compliment to say is she shares the screen almost all the time, at least what I've seen her in, with Sam Jackson, and she stands out. So that says a lot right there.
Yeah. The way that she can command a scene like that, and that's exactly the type of person Phillipa is as well. Extremely confident, and you're totally right. Like, ends justify the means. Do what I need to get the job done, and that's the vibe that Kobe Smulders gives, particularly as Maria Hill.
All right, I'm excited. I'm excited to see yours.
Okay, click on my first one.
All right, let's see. Who we got?
Evan Rachel Wood.
She was on my short list, I swear.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to be totally transparent. As I was doing preparation for this episode, I realized I don't know that many actors by name or by face. I could watch a show and recognize someone, but I don't know their body of work. I don't follow actors. But in one of the fan casts that's someone on Tumblr or whatever that I found in preparation for today's episode, Evan Rachel Wood came up for Phillipa, and I was like, that's perfect. 100%. This is my A-list pick for Phillipa. I think her role in Westworld as, who's that character? I only watched season 1.
I'm looking, Dolores Abernathy, because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, Dolores Abernathy. That role, she plays this it's hard to describe this. She's like a robot, basically, an android. And I think if she just channeled that Dolores energy from Westworld into a sort of Phillipa character, I think she could pull it off. Plus, I think she has the look. When I read the books, this is sort of how I imagined Phillipa, like a very tall woman, extremely confident. I actually sort of imagined short hair like she does in this IMDb photo. And the look overall is kind of how I imagined her in my mind as well. So she'd be my number one pick.
No, yeah, like I said, she was literally on the list, and I guess I just went for, I mean, obviously, I think she's naturally blonde, but obviously you can, wig it up, dye it, or whatever, if you want to go, again, for the look in that sense. Because like I said, I think a big thing about Phillipa is that just dark deadness of her.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Evan Rachel Wood is outstanding.
Yeah, I would be very excited to see her. And, I don't think she's like so A-list celebrity enough that Netflix couldn't cut her a check. I think they could pay her bill.
She's getting that HBO Westworld money.
True. That's a lot of money.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. Okay. So pick number 2 for me. This one, I wasn't sure who my number 2 would be because I was just so confident about Evan Rachel Wood. So I will admit I recently just watched Hamilton on Disney Plus because it finally came out. And Phillipa Soo, I thought, was spectacular in Hamilton. She played Eliza Hamilton in that, Hamilton's wife. I know she's a stage actor, so I don't know if she's actually even been in TV shows. Oh, I guess she was in Smash and Moana, according to her IMDb page.
Yeah, Moana, I guess, says miscellaneous voices, but I guess she was in a TV series called The Code.
Yeah, so she has some on-screen credentials as well, but I think her name's already Phillipa, easy, no complications on set for anyone, and B, I think she did a spectacular job as Eliza Hamilton in Hamilton. I think she could channel a lot of that like sort of powerhouse energy, and that's how I see Phillipa as well in my mind, like this powerful sorceress who doesn't take shit from anyone, and I think Phillipa Soo could channel that. Especially if she really channeled that Hamilton energy she had on stage.
Yeah, I have not seen Hamilton, but I'm going to assume if you're on the original run of that stage play, I think you're going to be fine in anything you do, right?
Yeah, clearly, man.
I'm guessing. So, yeah, I think she'll be fine. Here's how, and I don't know, allergies have absolutely kicked my ass like the past week or two. I didn't even put together that her name was Phillipa until you said it right there. I looked at it and I was like, oh my God. Okay. Yeah, you're right. That'd be easier there, I guess, acting it's your own name.
Right. So I think these are all great picks. I think Netflix should reach out to all of these people.
All right. So now that we've got the good picks out of the way, let's we're gonna snake draft this. So we're gonna go into Dijkstra next.
Hell yeah.
And we're gonna get your 2 picks first. So are we ready for your first one?
Yes, let's do pick number 1 for Dijkstra. I have a feeling we might have. I feel like we might have aligned on some of these. So
nah, we didn't.
No, we didn't. Okay.
I will say again though. I'll say again. Oh, go ahead and say who it is.
So I'm gonna butcher this name. Help me out here. Vincent D'Onofrio. Okay, Vincent D'Onofrio. I actually don't know his body of work, but I know him because I watched Daredevil on Netflix, and he played Wilson Fisk. And Wilson Fisk is basically exactly how Dijkstra plays in my mind. Like, if Vincent D'Onofrio can just be Wilson Fisk in The Witcher and play Dijkstra, that would be perfect in my mind.
So, yeah, the big thing with him, too, because one thing I did about Dijkstra is he's described in the books as being 7 feet tall, basically, or closer to 7 foot than 6 foot, and pretty much like 400 pounds. But he's also very agile. So that's another thing, too. D'Onofrio was another one I thought about because I looked up like taller actors in a sense to do this. And he has definitely become, at least what I've seen him in a lot lately, the villain, if you will. He was cartoonishly evil in Jurassic World. Jurassic World. Yeah, that's what it's called. They all those all run together to me now. But he was cartoonishly evil in that. I will always know him first and foremost from Full Metal Jacket. I was about to say Saving Private Ryan. From Full Metal Jacket, where he played a character completely different than what Dijkstra or anything else would be. But yeah, okay. He's another one there where I looked it up. Yeah, he's like 6'3", 6'4", somewhere around there, which is, like 8 feet in Hollywood terms because everybody's short as hell. So, but yeah, no, they could definitely make him look big in there. He's imposing. He's a bigger guy. He could definitely play a sardonic, sarcastic asshole, which is what Dijkstra is.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm on board with that completely. That would be great.
Nice, yeah. And I can't claim I came up with this one on my own. This one I also found somewhere. This was someone else's pick on Reddit or Tumblr or many of the other fan casts out there. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, this is it. My second pick is I'm a little less confident about, but I went with Dave Bautista.
Okay.
Because if you can't tell, I clearly was just like looking for bald Hollywood actors or characters who have shaved their heads. And because Dijkstra in my mind and in the game as well is bald. I think Dave Bautista has range. We've seen that in Blade Runner and Guardians of the Galaxy, which he's most notably known for. And I don't think he'd be a perfect fit, but I think this would actually push the envelope a little bit and force him to work outside his range. I think he can do big and imposing. I don't know that he can do sort of cunning and sardonic. And I would love to see him try that because I think he could pull it off. I think he's a talented actor who's just only now starting to hit his groove.
Yeah, he's another one. He's also taught, isn't he like 6'5" or something? But is that his wrestling height? But that might be like, because Dwayne Johnson is listed, like The Rock is listed at like 6'5". The dude is not 6'5".
No
like,
way.
That's a wrestling height. That guy is like 6'2", maybe.
Yeah.
Like at the most, he is like 6'2". So, but I think this is a really good one because, like you said, he can definitely get, and it plays into some of my picks too. The biggest thing of the Dijkstra to me too isn't just that he's that big, but like they said, he's nimble, he's agile for someone there. And so, yeah, I obviously think a professional wrestler could pull that part off easily.
Yeah. All right. What about your first pick? I'm excited.
Okay, so here's the first one. Now, here's the thing, because you're going to click on it. Let's click on it because I want to see it. Click on it. Click on it. No. All right, so here you go. Here you go. Now, this is going to be one of those that I mentioned earlier from about maybe 30 years ago. So when I said this one goes towards the looks of it. So the first one is the big Aristotle himself, Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Now, that's the thing. So you can think, what? Now, there's nobody else on the planet I can really think of that is, again, 7 foot. And even at his biggest, Shaq was like 300 pounds or a little over 300 pounds.
Yeah.
So he's not even near like the 400 of what it could be. But again, this is more based on, hey, who's real agile that could do it? But yeah, if you like basketball, go look up Shaq when he was on the Magic in the early to mid 90s. And that is a 7 foot, 300 pound dude that is moving like that. And it's just insane. And again, he's someone who, he's kind of funny. Obviously, he could not pull it off. He's a bit too deadpan in a way to kind of do that. But again, just the looks, the imposing, he could definitely be, I think, like a sarcastic. He's not an asshole. He's too likable.
He's like so charming. Yeah.
He's so charming, so likable. So that one was kind of like the joke pick, like, perfect in that sense. Yeah. Now, the next one. I'm
like falling down this IMDb hole. I just clicked on Kazam, this 1996 movie. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to try to watch that now.
See, again, like, I'm just going to say don't. Again, Shaq acting is me as like the 80s and 90s kid. Like, Steel and Kazam. He did all that. I'll always remember Shaq, not obviously just his basketball, but of him being like the Shaq Fu actor type of the 90s. But now the next one. Okay. The next one.
Pick number 2.
Click on that one.
It's loading. Tyler Perry. This I could see.
Okay. So in this one too, I know people can be really polarized on him because of the Medea movies and all that. And I've never seen those. That's not my thing. That's for other people to go on. But everything I've seen him in, and this goes to Gone Girl. Have you seen Gone Girl?
Yes. I really liked Gone Girl.
Gone Girl was amazing. And I remember that was my first exposure to really actor Tyler Perry. I think he was in the first Star Trek, but in like a very small role. But that was the first one to me of him acting in a role that either he wasn't doing or something else. And he played this lawyer, smooth talking, almost kind of Johnny Cochran-ish. Mm-hmm. Charisma for days. Everything that I see him in, he's just amazing. And he was also in Vice, where he was playing Colin Powell. And I don't know, he's tall, he's big as hell. He can pull off, I think, Dijkstra perfectly. He can get down the asshole-ish charm of Dijkstra. Some people probably don't find that charming. They think he's just an asshole.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was just going to say exactly the same thing. I don't think, as a viewer, you're necessarily supposed to hate Dijkstra. He's charming and like intelligent enough that you're kind of supposed to be like, I get where this guy's coming from. And I think Tyler Perry has that energy.
Yeah, to get into the story part, we're not supposed to like him because he, like everybody else, wants Ciri for his own thing. Right. But yes, like in that sense of he's kind of this enemy, not enemy to Geralt. But yeah, I think Tyler Perry as Dijkstra would be just absolutely perfect.
Yeah. I mean, look, you set me up for failure here with Shaq. I have to agree with your Tyler Perry pick now.
See, I go and then I go to the big one. And now people won't even remember the Shaq one because they're just like, oh, yeah, Tyler Perry. Just that character from Gone Girl and that. Oh, yeah. See, that's what I do. Set him up, then knock him down.
Yeah, perfect. You got me on that. Okay, let's move on to Bonhart. I think we're going to have some interesting picks here. Who was your first pick for Bonhart?
All right, so first pick for Bonhart. Go and click on that. Jeff Bridges.
Ooh, okay.
So when I imagine Leo Bonhart, and I've imagined this from the moment I read him on the books, the way it was described, Leo Bonhart to me is, and again, this is the American and this is the Texan in me. Leo Bonhart is an old cowboy type, black hat type that just will roll into town. He don't give a shit about nothing. He plays it calm, cool, and collected. He doesn't care who you are. He's going to kill you, and he's going to do it with a twang and a drawl. Like, that's how I imagine him. Now, Jeff Bridges is too old, because, again, going back to actually on screen, they got to be able to fight. Like, he can fight. He's killed Witchers.
Yeah.
So maybe Jeff Bridges 20, 30 years ago in that sense, but I think dead on, if it was animated, then he'd be the guy right there.
He'd be the perfect voice. I can already hear Bonhart lines in Jeff Bridges' voice.
Absolutely on there. So what I did for my second pick, which would be who I would choose, I picked basically what I think Jeff Bridges is, only 20 years younger. And so go ahead and click on that.
Josh Brolin.
That is Josh Brolin, who again, now granted, he's not from there. Have you seen No Country for Old Men?
I haven't actually.
Okay.
No, I know him from Avengers because. Yeah, I'm a Marvel geek, but yeah.
Yeah, and I've only seen him in Avengers from, I think, the first Guardians, because I haven't seen any of the Avengers movies per se. And so I don't know him too much from there. But No Country for Old Men, he played takes place in West Texas. Played a Texan, that's the Coen brothers in there. And so him, I think, could be it. Put a little, gray in his hair. He's young enough. He could pull that off in that sense. I'm pretty sure he could, do the fighting. If not,
I think he's got the physicality for it.
But he's definitely got the villainous type to do it. He definitely can pull off what I think is a Western, Southern. We won't worry about Jonah Hex. Jonah Hex doesn't exist. If anybody remembers that, it just popped in my head. I'm like, nobody remembers that. But
he's also going to be in the upcoming Dune film. So,
is he?
Yeah. He's going to play. Who is he playing? I think Gurney.
Gurney Halleck.
Yeah, that's exciting. No, I obviously know him from the Marvel universe as Thanos, and imposing is something he can pull off to a T, right? Like, it's actually interesting that we totally agree on our impression of Bonhart. To me, he's also that like bad boy cowboy with a twang, who'll roll up into town, cause some bloodshed, have it like knock down a few beers and leave. I think Josh Brolin could play that perfectly. He can embody that.
Yeah, and from the physicality, Bonhart is like tall, lanky, almost skeletal frame. And I think Josh Brolin is like 5'10-ish, 5'11". But again, that's something to me that I don't think you need to get hung up on. Like, you can have him appear thinner or whatever. But to me, again, it's the imposing nature of it. It's the calm, cool, collected killer that is Leo Bonhart. Yeah,
absolutely. So my first pick actually ties into that impression as well. Go ahead and click on my first pick. This will totally make sense.
Let's see it. Oh, okay.
So, speaking of imposing, I went with Mahershala Ali because I think the dude can just like scare you with his eyes, with a look.
Okay, that's I don't want to interrupt you, but that is perfect. You're not going to be able to top it with your second one. I hope this was. Yeah, he is. Oh, yeah, that is. Damn, that's a good one too. Yeah,
I think like I love Mahershala. I would also love to see a Muslim person in the Witcher universe, rep my people. But beyond that, I like an Oscar-winning actor with so much range. He's done everything from like drama to like his role in House of Cards as Remy Denton was like terrifying and amazing. And I think the thing that he pulls off really well, I think he's quite tall, actually, from what I can tell.
6'2".
Yeah, and Bonhart in my mind is like as tall as Dijkstra, like just an imposing dude. But Mahershala Ali is like actually pretty sort of skinny. But so I think like he's got the physical features of Bonhart, and if he can pull off just a slight Southern twang or some sort of accent and throw on a cowboy hat, I would be scared shitless of him. I could see him as Bonhart.
He's scary enough. Like, did you see the last season of True Detective?
No, it's on my list.
One of these questions will see the same TV shows. I think it's the third one I've asked that we haven't seen, and the ones you brought up I haven't seen. So he was in the third season of True Detective. He was the lead, and at times he was downright terrifying, and you could just see, like, oh my God, this guy. Yeah, he's amazing, and this is also the perfect pick because you want to see Muslim representation. And going back to my Shaq pick, I want to see basketball player representation. And he did have a full ride. He had a full ride to St. Mary's and actually played college ball. So that's just absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Damn. Our two representations align, basketball and Islam.
There you go. Mahershala Ali is Bonhart. Damn, that's good.
Perfect. Okay, so my second pick, not as good, right? Like, Mahershala is my pick. But if he's not available, he's an Oscar-winning actor. If his price tag is too big, my second pick is Matthew McConaughey.
Damn! Oh, this is great. This is great. I'm not. You know what? Just all right. Go ahead.
It's so good. Like Matthew McConaughey from Mud. I think. Like, I don't really remember Mud. I don't think it was a memorable movie, but I remember the way he acted in it. Just sort of this like dark, depressed, his classic like sort of cowboy-esque thing that he does. He's always typecast as that kind of guy anyway. I think he would be a great Bonhart. Plus, like looking at this IMDb photo of him, he's got like the like bony cheeks, you know? Like he's got the like sort of skeletal look that Bonhart does in my mind. I think he'd be a great second pick if Mahershala is not available.
Well, like Dallas Buyers Club, he played someone who had AIDS, and he lost a shit ton of weight and was like deathly skinny. So if you want to look at him like super skinny, look up pictures from that movie. And okay, so he was in True Detective as well, and the first season of it, and anybody who's seen that knows Rust Cole, like where he can go with a character, like just dark and all that. And oh yeah, come on, you pick someone from Texas, you know I'm gonna like it. So this would be more, because like with him, I'd envision in that Rust Cole type, which is very nihilistic, philosophical, and to go that route, you could really fucking make him scary, almost in going back to No Country for Old Men. Going back to, and of course the name slips my mind, Javier Bardem, his character in that, and just being very stoic in that sense. So yeah, I'm digging that.
Yeah, I want to see him fight too. I feel like Matthew McConaughey can swing a fucking sword.
Okay, we're gonna take a quick break here, but stick around. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, I'm Abu.
And I'm Leo.
And we're here to tell you about Gom Jabbar, our brand new podcast all about Dune.
Gom Jabbar is your guide to Frank Herbert's massive sci-fi universe. We'll be exploring the themes, philosophies, and characters found in everything from Frank's iconic novels to the adaptations on film and TV.
And here's the thing. We do spoiler-filled deep dives as well as introductory non-spoiler episodes. So there's something for everyone.
You know, look, Dune is complicated. There are crazy words like mentats, like Tleilaxu, and, of course, Gom Jabbar.
Our goal is to help you understand these words and many more that we can't pronounce.
It's a theme. So find Gom Jabbar on your favorite podcast platform. We can't wait to share our love of the Dune universe, and we'll see you on the Golden Path.
Now we're going to Regis Regis. All right. And
Yes.
we're snaking it, so who you got for the first pick
my
for
my
Regis?
number one pick for Regis here.
Let's click
This
it.
one is a bit of an oddball.
Okay.
is
Okay.
Taika Waititi.
All right.
I feel like Regis in my mind. I don't want to say too much because he's a big character later on, and there's a lot of spoilers around him. But in my mind, he's a friend and companion to Geralt who is old and wise and quirky. Like the thing that stands out to me about him is his sort of quirky philosophical nature. I think Taika could pull that off. Definitely not Taika from Jojo Rabbit. I'm not talking like Hitler on screen, but Taika from like What We Do in the Shadows, I think could be a good Regis.
Yeah, that's what I was going to be like. Are we doing the Hitler New Zealand accent here? Or like how far Regis are we going?
I think he would have to, I think, modify the accent because Regis in my mind is sort of stereotypically British, just because he's like old and wise and kind of quirky and kooky. But I think Taika could just really pull off some of the lighter aspects of Regis's character and bring some of that levity.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know I saw a thing where he was nominated for an Oscar like over a decade ago, something early on. And he wanted to get all the other people to, when they announced it, to not look at the camera and act like they were preoccupied with something else. And nobody did it except him. And he looked really weird doing it. And so, yeah, he definitely seems... I still need to see Jojo Rabbit. I definitely need to see that.
It's very good.
Yeah. I'm guessing just from what I've heard about it, whoever can write, direct, and then act as Hitler and pull it off, I think it's one of those, you can probably pull off anything quirky.
Yeah, that was quirky was the number one reason for this pick.
Yeah.
There are other aspects to Regis that I could have gone with, but I was like, no, I like Regis on screen needs to be fun to watch, and Taika would be super fun to watch. So my second pick, if it can't be Taika, is kind of an oddball. I don't know that this fits perfectly, but I picked Idris Elba.
Okay.
And I picked this mainly because of Idris Elba in Lucifer. I think in Lucifer, he exudes that like British, wise, like serious energy. But at the same time, I think Idris is charming enough that he could pull off sort of quirky and silly and sell it on screen. Maybe not as good as Taika, but I would love to see Idris try and tackle this role of like the old wise character that is Regis. And I think he's charming enough. Like, I love Regis personally. Like reading the books, he's one of my favorite characters. And I think the person who portrays him on screen should be equally charming as he is on the pages of the book. And I think Idris Elba has that charm.
Yeah, see, I had him on a short list for Dijkstra. I'm sorry, not Dijkstra. For Bonhart, because to me,
that's a good one too.
And why I almost gave him the British exemption was because first and foremost, he will always be Stringer Bell from The Wire for me. Because when I watched that much younger, didn't know who the hell he was. Like, I still didn't know his name after watching it, because he didn't really, to me, blow up until much later. And I don't even know really what it would have been. So I'll always see him as Stringer Bell in that sense. But yeah, he's another one of those. The guy can do anything, right?
Right, anything.
Same as like Mahershala Ali. Like, they're in that same boat of they can play the villain, they can play the hero, they can play somebody more complicated. They can really do whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think my first exposure, again, clearly you and I don't watch the same TV shows. I never watched The Wire, but my first exposure to Idris Elba was that early Netflix show or movie called Beasts of No Nation, which was about the conflicts in like in war-torn Africa about like child soldiers. And he plays one of the warlords who are like recruiting and training these child soldiers. And that movie goes to a very dark place, and I didn't expect that of Idris Elba. And my second exposure to Idris Elba was in Pacific Rim, which is a much lighter movie than something like Beasts of No Nation. And I think that range makes, just like you said, makes Idris Elba something that, as someone who can do any role. He can be the good guy. He can be the bad guy. He can be charming. He can be extremely scary and evil on screen. He can go to a dark place, but he can also be lighthearted. He's got that range.
All right. And so for my first pick for Regis, it might look familiar.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Matthew McConaughey.
So I had Matthew McConaughey. And the reason there is because, like we talked about being quirky, Matthew McConaughey can be fucking bonkers quirky. And again, it's one of those where it's just the style of it. So Regis, to me, while I think he's a good character and Geralt loves him, calls him the epitome of humanity, Regis at times can be very fucking condescending, very pretentious, and just fucking annoying. So this goes back to, again, the Russ Cole in the first season of True Detective, where he would just ponder on and go on about philosophy and life and his nihilism and all that. And while at first he can be like, oh, okay, when he just keeps going on, it's just like, dude, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And so I think McConaughey could, again, do that perfectly and just be weird, but again, hit those heartfelt moments because Regis has those.
Yeah. Would you want McConaughey to retain the Southern drawl or change his accent up for Regis?
I mean, with that, again, like, we're not doing British accents here in my Witcher, you know? We ain't doing that shit. So, yeah, like Idris Elba, I love you, Idris Elba, but you're British. You know, fuck off. We'll get you for the other stuff. No, I mean, it could be him, but again, like the accent, like I said, Idris Elba can obviously do, like, an American accent in some sense. But here, not the complete Texan one. Like, Leo Bonhart, to me, like, I want that Western feel. I want you to think you're watching, like I said, a black hat type from a spaghetti Western.
Definitely.
With this, no, it would be his whatever, but no, he's not going to be, you know, all right, you know, doing all that sense when Geralt tells him to fuck off for the third time.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's like, all right, sounds good. You know, we're not doing that sense. But, and there it's one of those, someone like him, it's like, dude, here's the character, what do you got? And we'll see what he has. And he could bring that to, I think, a really special place.
Totally.
All right, so the second pick here, I got Denzel.
Denzel Washington. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And again, being 80s, 90s kid, Denzel was the man. He was the best actor out there. You know, they weren't giving him Oscars because, you know, fuck the Oscars. Also, He did win for Glory, I guess. He wasn't getting the best actor. He didn't win for Malcolm X, which is still a travesty. I don't even know who won it that year, but come on now. There was nobody better than him. I don't care who won it. So Denzel was one of those that I hit on him for Bonhart also, because we've seen him go dark in Training Day. If you've seen Training Day, which he actually won his best Oscar for, he can go dark. But I also think with Regis, he can again be that heartfelt comfort thing where I think he can play at times like that intellectual, condescending one. He's getting up there in age. I think he's like 66. So he's one in there I thought to put as he could just pull it off. And again, just Regis to me can be so many different things, and I think he could hit that on perfectly. Yeah,
I think Denzel, you totally hit it with the intellectual point. Denzel Washington is getting a little bit older, and he's starting to have this vibe of like that intellectual. He's got that dad energy, like he's like a retired professor dad, and I think you're right. Like that is Regis is someone who's extremely old. And obviously a know-it-all. I think Denzel could now. I don't think younger Denzel could pull that off, but I think now that he's getting up there in age, he has that old wise energy. I could see it. I could definitely see it. I don't know if people would have a hard time disassociating him from iconic roles like Malcolm X and Training Day, though. I feel like people would bitch and moan no matter what. But
yeah, it would be something again that you'd kind of have to hide them in that role. And I think that's where you kind of hit up the makeup. You can get the facial hair on there. And then someone like him can kind of escape into it.
Yeah, totally. I think we had some good picks. I actually, as much as I loved our picks here today, I don't know if you agree with me on this. I would hope that they give some new up-and-comers a chance. I think The Witcher is the perfect show to bring on some fresh talent. And we saw that with like Anya Chalotra as Yennefer. I think it would be interesting for us to see some fresh faces and some fresh talent take on these roles. Because we've all seen, you know, Idris Elba and Mahershala Ali kill it on screen. I would love to see some younger up-and-comers also join this world.
Well, that's the good thing also about Netflix, and this isn't like talking shit, it's the reality. Obviously, a ton of budget went to Henry Cavill.
Right.
And so when you look at just about everybody else in the cast, they're always going to be unknowns because you don't have to pay them that much. And outside of Lars Mikkelsen, I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head that I've ever really heard of as far as like live action going.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another thing here where out of necessity, they're going to have to find those new people. But again, hey, I'm going to do it. I'm sending up the flag. It's the Game of Thrones comparison thing.
Oh, no.
It's the same
Here we go.
It's the same thing that happened with them, though. You know, look at that first season and how much of that went to Sean Bean because they needed a name to get people in. And
Absolutely.
then everybody else, even at the time, Peter Dinklage, oh, I've seen that guy. Oh, I've seen that. Peter Dinklage was nothing back then. Like, he really wasn't. So, like, to me, it was it The Station Agent he was in? I don't know. That's another tangent. But it's a necessity thing where, yeah, they're going to have to find the best and the brightest. And there's a ton out there. We've seen that. Because, again, I'd never heard of Anya Shalatra. She was great. You know, I'd never heard of so many of these other people, and they were amazing.
Yeah, totally. I think you're right. Like, this is the type of TV show where you might need that big budget name in the first season, but as long as you find the right talent, as long as you find like new young blood who are hungry, who are willing to put the work in, hopefully we'll see a lot of recognizable faces by the time this show reaches season 4 and 5.
Yeah, keep that budget towards set design, special effects, you know, all the production budget. The acting will be fine. That other stuff, you know, in a medieval fantasy, you have to have it. And they definitely had it in the first season.
Absolutely. Holy shit, did you hear that?
What the hell was that? Is that a car?
Yeah, that was somebody's car.
Jesus. God.
Well, Brett, podcasts are podcasts. Lesser, greater, middling, they're all the same. But we've completed our contract and it's time to collect our reward. So leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and check out the other shows on the Lore Party Podcast Network on loreparty.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at lore_party. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the path.